I enjoy coming to work every day knowing that clients are depending on me to guide them through whatever financial needs they have.
Every client we have is different. And so it's really about finding out what's really the most important thing per client.
With financial planning, everything is interconnected. So a comprehensive plan means that you're taking care of income needs now, income needs in the intermediate term, and income needs long term. We'll do an asset cycle portfolio, we'll do a risk-aligned test, we'll do a life insurance audit or a life insurance review.
And so when we build a deep relationship with our clients, then we can take a step back and then we can look at different options to help them specifically get to their goals. One of the things I feel our job is as advisors is to introduce strategies to clients that maybe they did not know that they were out there. But it's our our job to come out and say, have you ever thought about this?
And the planning it's not always about income, but a lot of it is also about the legacy. So the element of family is very important to us, and it's important to our clients.
Hello and welcome to Financially Speaking with Jeff Bush. My name is Steve Jablonski and I'm the host for today's show. Informed Family has been in 5 or 6 different news outlets, been published, and today with Clippinger, Jeff has been published 3 times, and most recently last week, and the article is Retirement Today doesn't come as easy as it did in the past decades. So that's the article we'll be talking about today.
Yeah. Well, hello, Steve, and welcome to the show. And as Ringo Starr would say, it don't come easy. But it's true that retirement today doesn't come as easily as it did in the past decades, or as we like to say around the office, this is not your father's retirement.
Yep. So with that said, Jeff, what are some of the places that we've been published?
Yeah, so we've had a really an interesting summer, and then into the fall, where we have really been hitting it pretty hard with I've had the good fortune of having 3 different articles published in Kiplinger, and we're really excited about that. And of course, last year I was in the Reading Eagle. And Steve, you've been in the Norristown Patch, and I believe you were also quoted. And I don't think that's on our screen here, but weren't you? You were you had another interview, I believe.
Yes. Yes. Yep.
And who was that with?
One was Advisor World.
Advisor World.
Yep.
Right. And U.S. News and World Report, of course. And of course, our partner Barry was in Investopedia, and I did a couple interviews with Enterprise Radio when you were in the Norristown Patch, all over the place. So it's good stuff for sure.
Yep. And to get started on today's topic, if we go back 20 years ago versus today, what are some of the differences? What are some of the things that are the same about retirement?
Well, I mean, if we look at the classic 3-legged stool, you've got 3 sources of income. You've got your Social Security, you've got your pension, and then you've got income from your savings, from your retirement plans. And what's different now is a lot of these pensions are going away, unless you work for, or unless you're in a public job, like a school teacher or the police officers, and you're in a public sector type position. A lot of these pensions have gone by the wayside. So what that means is, and they've been replaced by self-funded or self-directed plans like a 401k. And what's happening is your retirement is now depending upon the performance of the market, these capital markets, and they're volatile. So today's retirement is different than retirement just a generation ago, Steve. 30 years ago, people didn't have that problem when they retired. When you talk to people 30 years ago when they retired, they weren't worried about how the stock market was doing.
And why do you think that shift has gone that way from pensions to 401k?
Well, companies have realized, and a lot of it happened, a lot of this has transformed with the stock market, particularly the recession that happened in the early part of the century, the 2001, 2002 recession. What happened is a lot of these pensions became underfunded, and the corporations were saying, hey, we can't afford to do this anymore, and it just became a trend that, you know, look, we're going to get rid of that, and what we're going to do in its place is we're going to let people contribute to a 401k, and then, you know, we'll have some kind of match, some kind of profit sharing, so we'll still contribute dollars, but we're not on the hook to paying people a pension for the rest of their life.
Yep.
And here's the other thing that has happened, and that is actuarially, you know, people are living longer. So what that means is you're on the hook to make those pension payments for a longer period of time. In these self-directed accounts, these 401ks and such, that's not the case. You make one deposit and you're done.
Yep. And I know we don't have the slide of the S&P from 1980 to 2000, and you said, you know, it's not your father's stock market now. What's the comparison there?
Well, the comparison is that when we look at the performance of the stock market in the last 20 years of the prior century, so between 1982, let's say, and 1999. The stock market was on a strong bull run. We were on like a 19-year bull run, with some exception in there. But by and large, it was, if you look at the trend, it was by and large a strong bull run. So if you were investing and, you know, getting returns during that period of time, you know, everybody was happy. You were making money. But what happened in the slide that we have here, that we can put up there. This is the last. This is the performance of the stock market since the turn of the century, and you can see here that this period of time has been marked by volatility. You know, we had the great the recession in the early part of the century. You know, the tech bubble, 9/11. Then the subsequent recovery from that, and then, you know, then the financial crisis came, which changed everything.
Yeah.
You know, the financial crisis, you know, where the stock market, it wasn't just the stock market, but the stock market lost over half its value in that 19 or 18-month period. But in addition to that, you know, there was no place to hide. The bond market collapsed because the financial market, you know, it's all these collateralized mortgages. I mean, we could debate why all that happened, and there was a lot of it had to do with just, you know, greed.
Yeah.
and banks loaning money out to people for mortgages that they should not have, and it was a mess. And of course, you and I were advising clients through that, and that wasn't too much fun to go to work during that period of time. But you know, that volatility, and of course we've recovered from that, but markets continue to be volatile, and we've seen that lately in the market, where we've seen wild swings in the stock market.
Yeah. And a lot of times there's something that's pretty well known called the 4% rule. Advisors use it, clients know about it. What is that, and do you think that holds true today?
Yeah, well, the 4% rule was actually even beyond that. That was like a theoretical, yep, number, meaning that you could safely take out 4% of your nest egg, your investment, and not run out of money. And of course, with all the volatility of today, you know, when they do all these simulations, that's no longer the case. That's no longer a safe rate of return. So, you know, the 4% rule right now is more like the 3% rule, or the 2.8% rule. It's planning today is a very different ball game. I mean, we don't even use that.
Right.
that's not even part of our practice, simply because it's got a lot of fallacies. There's just a lot of problems with that, using that particular strategy. We use things like asset designation. We use things like guarantee. We would look at products that have guarantees built in them, shifting risk. A lot of other different tools that are available now.
Yeah. And so now that the burden, I won't say the burden, but the responsibility has been shifted to the individual, and it's market driven, with the market being as high as it is, what are some of the tools and investments that can be used to invest?
Well, there are a lot of tools, and I think the one thing that investors of today have to keep in mind is their timeline. So, and what I mean by that, Steve, is when you retire today, you're looking at maybe 30 years of life in retirement, depending on your health and depending on when you retire. So you want to make sure that if you're investing in equities, you're doing them in the right way, and you have them in a part of your portfolio where you can afford to have long-term growth. That's where investors get into trouble, is when they're investing, they're using long-term strategies for short-term results, so to speak. But I think, to answer your question, what products are available? I mean, stocks are available. You have, and there's, stocks. There's dividend-paying stocks. There are stocks that are just built for growth. But the fact of the matter is, if you're in equities, you're going to experience volatility. And then bonds. Bonds are there to stabilize your portfolio. Bonds have a good part of a good place in your investment strategy. But again, you can have volatility in the bond market, and we're seeing that this year as well, as we're starting to see some increase in interest rates. That's having some downward pressure in bonds. I always call that the seesaw effect. Yep. So it's like interest rates go up, bond prices go down. Interest rates go down, bond prices go up. So we're starting to see that, yep. And I think we're going to continue to see that for a while. So even though we like bonds as a strategy, it can be a little tricky. And then, of course, the one thing that we really like as a cornerstone to a plan is annuities, because with annuities you can generate some guarantees, and that can actually beat that 4% rule that you were alluding to earlier as a way to to bolster one's income in retirement.
Yeah. And also now there are new investments, such as like trending investments. And I don't believe those were not around years ago. Can you tell us a little bit about those?
Yeah, well, trending, and we like those too. Trending is a strategy that we use where you're in the market, but you're in the market in a smart way, meaning that we're looking at. See, there's a lot of data out there to be analyzed, and of course, it's for the average consumer, it's overwhelming because there's so much data. But there's products that are now out there that use trending data that would suggest when you should be in the market and when you should not be in the market. And of course, we put those into our clients' plans in the right spot. Mm-hmm. But it's a way to be in stocks when it's smart to be in stocks, and it's a way to be out of stocks when stocks, in essence, are out of favor. And they give you an example, going all the way back to 2008, when the stock market was way down. Everybody remembers that, even though it was 10 years ago. We had some strategies that were out of the market and did not lose money during that period of time. So you're still taking risk. Yep. You're still taking stock risk, equity risk. So you still have to be mindful of that, and these products that are available that use trending data, they're not guaranteed by any means, but they're helpful, and they're a good tool to be in the market in a smart way.
And I know there's a lot of different tools, a lot of different investments. Let's talk a little bit about the planning. How does that work with your clients? Is the retirement based more on their expenses, on an individual basis?
Well, Steve, it's all about the planning.
Yep.
I mean, the way I look at it, it's all about the planning. Like, you plan first and you invest second. Because with planning, there are so many factors that have to go into consideration. For example, one thing, and we've talked about this on the show a lot, is your Social Security benefit. You know, that's, you know, even though the pensions aren't there, the Social Security is still there, and that's a fixed part of the plan. So you have your pension, your Social Security. Maybe some people still have a pension, a small pension maybe. That's part of the plan. So you have to factor that in, and then the other facets of the plan are, you know, how do you view risk? What's your timeline? You know, how long are you gonna, you know, how long do we have to plan for this? And then once we have a lot of those questions answered, taxes, you know, other financial obligations. Are you, college education? Are you caring for an elder parent? You know, today's generation, it's tricky, because not only do we have to navigate these tricky financial markets, but the life today of a retiree is different now, because you have younger people, you know, you have young children that you're raising, children that graduate college and then come back and live at home. You have, you know, you're caring for elder parents. You know, sometimes you have 3 generations living in one home. There's really a lot of factors, and that's where the planning comes in, and that's where, you know, it's important to note here that you can't use a cookie cutter approach to this, because everybody's situation is different. You know, and the several hundred clients that we have, Steve, you know, everybody's plan is different. You know, we've had numerous conversations about this, that, you know, when we're putting these plans together, we have to be mindful of all the factors that are affecting the, you know, the people that are retiring today.
And it seems like Informed Family really educates their clients. And one of the discussions is, what are some of the things you can control versus some of the things you can't into retirement? Can you tell us a little bit about those?
Yeah, well, so what can you control and what can't you control? Well, you can control how hard you work. You can control how long you work. You can control, you know, your health into retire. You can control what types of investments that you choose to be into, you know, because there's a lot of them. What you can't control is, you can't control the stock market, right? You can't control the government, although you can vote, right, which is important, but you can't control the government. You can't control what's happening internationally. So there's a lot of things you can't control, but you know, the things that are within your power to control, and that comes down to the planning.
In the relationship that Informed Family has with their clients about the fiduciary status.
That's important, because the fiduciary, what fiduciary means is you're acting in the best interest of your client. You have a responsibility to act within their best. In other words, a client comes in and says, "Okay, I need a financial plan." Okay, you're now in control. You know, you're now going to help me control my financial destiny. We have a responsibility to act in the client's best interest. And what's important with our organization, Informed Family Financial, is that we're an independent firm. We don't work for a big insurance company. We don't work for a big wirehouse, a big bank. We work for our clients. We work for our customers. And along with that, we have that fiduciary role. We are, you know, we act in their best interest.
Okay. And I've heard you refer in comparison to tornadoes versus hurricanes in someone's financial life.
Yeah.
What
Well, it's interesting that you say that, because it's been
especially recently.
of recent note. Yeah, I mean, there was some tornado-like conditions right here in Pottstown just last week. So that's the point with a tornado is you can't plan for it. You know, there was virtually no warning that there was going to be tornado-like conditions until, you know, we got notice on our phone that, hey, you know, you better go to the low ground in your house, stay away from the windows, all that kind of stuff. But you can't plan for that. And unlike a hurricane, with a hurricane, you know, the weather. I think the Weather Channel loves these hurricanes because they really hype it up. You know, they tell you, you know, a couple weeks ahead of time that this hurricane's coming. They tell you to leave, you know, board up your house, all that stuff. You know, they name it. You know, these hurricanes all have names. You know where the eye is. You know where it's. You know everything about a hurricane. So the point is, you can plan for a hurricane. You can't plan for a tornado. So that's what. So with financial planning, you either have a plan or you don't have a plan. So in 2008, you were either ready for that or you weren't ready for that.
And with the stock market being as high as it is, I know there's some key measurements that you refer to. When we look at those versus how's the economy doing, are these normal times? Or?
No, these are very abnormal times. You know, we look at for example, we look at the Shiller PE ratio, this, you know, price to earnings ratio, which is a measurement of stock value relative to the earnings of those stocks, and it's at a rate that it's only been this high a couple times in our history. And there's a couple times in our history it followed a pretty significant recession. So like 1929, everybody knows what happened. Well, I shouldn't say everybody knows. After that was the Great Recession. And then 2000. And we just had the graph up on the screen. What happened after 2000? You know, we had a pretty significant recession followed by a small period of growth and then another recession. So that, coupled with very low interest rates, you know, that's only happened. You know, well, we've never had that combination of both of them, but just the overpricing of the stock has only happened a couple times in our history. So when you look at that, Steve, it's, you know, you have to be mindful of what could happen. And, you know, we don't say that to scare people, but because you don't know what's going to happen in the future with regards to these capital markets. But we do know this: you better have a plan. Yep. You better have a plan going in to, you know, with what's going on in the market. Because if you don't have a plan, that's analogous to to getting hit with a tornado.
Yeah, and you probably have a process at Informed Family. What's the first meeting look like with a potential client?
Well, the first meeting, you know, usually comes either off of a workshop that they've attended of ours, or they could have been referred into us by one of our clients. That's how we get a lot of our clients. And the first meeting is really a get-to-know-you meeting. We want to get to know the prospective client, and they want to get to know us. So it's really an information gathering meeting. You know, we have a little asset manager report that we have them fill out, which allows them to write down all of the things that are pertinent to their financial world. You know, income sources, assets, that kind of thing. And it really serves as the base for us to put together a plan. It's the first step for a financial plan.
And how long have you been doing the PCTV, and how long's the company been around?
Well, believe it or not, we've been doing PCTV. This is our 6th year. We've been, you know, we finished up 5 years, I guess, a couple months ago. So we're on to our 6th year here on the PCTV network, and of course we love it here. We've been on here on the PCTV network, and of course they have a website, thepctvnetwork.com. So all our shows are shown on there as well as our website. And of course our company, Informed Family, which was originally Informed Senior, We've been around since 2000. 2001, I should say, January 1st, 2001. So 18 years. So it's been quite a ride. So yeah, if you want to contact us, we have information up on the screen. You can email us. You can call us if you want, further information. We always like to take our show on the road, Steve.
Yeah.
We do workshops. We'll be in your towns sometime soon. So we have up on the screen here one of our upcoming workshops. But we like to take the show on the road, and if you ever want to come to see us at one of our public events, you can just call our office or email us, and we'll be happy to get you tickets.
We've covered a lot today. Is there any summary that you want to end with, Jeff?
Well, I think that it's important to have a plan. I think in today's retirement, we say it's not your father's retirement, it's not your father's stock market. And what I mean by that is retirement today is different. The stock market today is different. And I think that it's important to have a plan. We have a very low-key approach here, in our practice. We don't put pressure on people to work with us or to move assets or anything like that. It has to be something that's comfortable for both us and for the client. So if you're interested, just give us a call, contact us, and we'd be happy to sit down with you for a free consultation.
Well, in closing, I'd like to say thank you for watching Financially Speaking with Jeff Bush from Steve Jablonski.